We've noticed that last month, MOFCOM, together with other 9 authorities, issues a notice on promotion of service consumption. And we see a major increase in terms of service consumption. And can you tell us more about our promotion method in this regard? This year, we stress the importance of service consumption, and we work with relevant departments and authorities to issue a number of activities in a special campaign to special new models and new reforms of service consumption so as to unleash the potential of service industry. This year, during a national holiday, nationwide, the related business consumption is up by 7.6%. Tourism in the rural areas are on a rise, and we see a major increase in terms of the consumption in the tennis games and table tennis games. Coming up, we will be launching activities from the next 3 aspects. First, to further expand the scope of service industry and create new growth point. We will be encouraging consumption from within and from outside. We will remove restrictions and cope with the bottleneck for service industry. We will be creating new growth point for service industry. Second, we will be diversify the scenarios for service consumption. We will build the better platform and system for service industry, and to create this kind of cooperation between service industry and major brands. 3, we will continue to optimize the supply side. A special campaign will be launched to benefit the elderly and the young, so as to further upgrade the service network. We also will be providing high-quality service in key areas. We will be introducing high-quality resources from outside, and especially when it comes to the sports events and artistic performances. Thank you. China Semiconductor Association have issued a notice on the attitude against the relevant policies concerning the Netherlands. We firmly object the Netherlands' methods as an it's a violation of market rules, and also it is hurting the market rules and norms. China also noticed that the Netherlands court on October the 14th have issued an open document on the Netherlands' dialogue with the U.S. on relevant issues, and the U.S. have proposed to change the CEO of the enterprise mentioned. And to issue relevant sanctions. We have already expressed our stance. I want to stress that the U.S. action is a brutal violation of international trade laws, and it's a destabilization of the global trade market, and it is hurting the legitimate right of the Chinese enterprises. And the U.S. rules is also the source of such an interruption. We hope that the Netherlands could make decisions independently, safeguard the normal trade relations between China and Netherlands, respect the truth, and stick to the spirit of contract and the market rules, and protect the legitimate right of Chinese investors and create a fair, transparent, and peaceful environment for trade. China will take necessary actions to safeguard the legitimate right of the Chinese businesses. Thank you. With the CMG, in the first 3 quarters, China's trade see a growing momentum despite the difficulties, especially the number in September is quite remarkable. But we've noticed that the U.S. have issued another sanction in terms of the import of Chinese ships based on the 301 investigation. And can you tell us more about your attitude towards this kind of phenomenon? In the first 3 quarters of this month, China's trade situation stabilizes while increases at the same time. The commodity trade is up by 4%, registers for positive growth for several consecutive months, and we see a major rising in high-end equipment, in wind turbines, and energy reservoir. And a lot of Chinese IP and high-quality commodities are marching towards the international market. Second, we see a more diversified catalog for trade partners. We have increased our support for the least developed countries in terms of trade, and we exempt them of a large percent of tariff. For the export-related enterprises, they also see an improvement in terms of global trade. Despite the turbulence in the global market, we believe that Chinese trade will be more resilient and will see more opportunities for cooperation, and we will cope with uncertainties for sure. Coming up, we will be putting up efforts in the following 3 aspects. First, we will be implementing the already issued policies so as to strengthen, support, and guarantee for the relevant businesses and sections. We will continue to strengthen our policy support and to issue new policies when necessary. Second, we will promote trade work, and the Canton Fair that is still going on right now are already issuing a series of promotion policies to encourage more enterprises to be part of the fair and to help them to make a deal during the fair. And relevant information are also made public, and we also have issued guidelines so as to provide more information for the enterprises if they want to go global. 3, we will strengthen trade cooperation, and we will be signing more free trade agreement and improve the implementation of the agreements. We will be introducing a zero tariff policy for the least developed countries, especially in the African continent. And thank you. That's all I have to say about this point. Thank you. With Phoenix TV, We heard that a case that is related to the trade conflicts between China and the U.S. is now undergoing process in the WTO, and the special case concerns the new energy vehicles. The policy issued by the United States concerning this case is a major violation by the U.S. on the trade WTO rules, and also is an act of trade protectionism. China decided to sue the U.S. on this case. The U.S. have already now stopped the subsidies on the new energy vehicles. However, they have not stopped the subsidies on new energies and other products. And therefore, based on WTO rules, we will continue with the lawsuit, so as to further protect the legitimate right of the Chinese enterprises and Chinese goods. We hope that the WTA will make a fair judgment on this case. With Reuters, the U.S. trade representatives mentioned that U.S. will be launching a 100% tariff on Chinese commodities. What are your comments on this? And he also mentioned that he is confident that can address the problems at the moment. So what are your comments and attitudes? What are the arrangements in this regard? What I want to emphasize is that after China's U.S. Madrid talk, only 20 days later, the U.S. have launched 20 measures to lavish this kind of trade tariff on Chinese goods, especially by the end of September. They've issued a list of commodities hurting the interest of thousands of enterprises because they are all put onto the list. And also, they have been activate the 301 investigation on Chinese shipping enterprises, hurting the interest of Chinese exporters. And we strongly oppose this kind of behavior. We hope that the U.S. could respect the result of our commercial dialogue in Madrid. We are willing to conduct dialogue on the basis of a fair grounds. The Chinese government, before the issuing of the measure, have already talked with brief to relevant departments and states in the U.S. and also around the world. Our partners have shown their understanding, and now dialogues are on the way. Thank you. The Ministry of Finance, Secretary of Finance of the U.S. Said that he will visit China and possibly will conduct a dialogue with its Chinese counterparts. Is that possible? Yes, we we adopt an open attitude towards any negotiations that is fair and just. 3 questions.
My first question is, U.S. Secretary Bessent said this week, criticized Vice Commerce Minister Li Chenggang by name this week, saying that Vice Commerce Minister Li had made some very incendiary comments on the 28th of August, that it showed up in D.C. uninvited, and that he hadn't been respectful in negotiations. Bessent also said that Li said that China will cause global chaos if the port shipping fees go into effect, which you've also referenced just now. My first question is, does the ministry have any comment on this? Will Vice Minister Li make any response to this direct criticism to him? My second question is, has there been any progress in the talks that happened in D.C. this week? The U.S. and the Chinese sides met, and you've released some small readouts. Do you have any more details on what was discussed? And my third question is, has the ministry hired more people to process rare earth license applications than you had in April? How many people do you have working on processing these applications now? Thank you.
谢谢彭博社。有3个问题。本周在华盛顿，美国财政部长贝森特在评论中点名批评了中国商务部副部长李成钢，称他在8月发表了一些非常煽动性的言论，且未经邀请就出现在华盛顿，并且表现得不够尊重。贝森特还表示，李部长曾说，如果特别港务费得以实施，中国将引发全球混乱。请问商务部对此有何评论？李副部长是否会对这一直接批评做出回应？第二个问题是，请问中方本周在华盛顿与美方的谈判有什么进展吗？您能详细介绍一下情况吗？另外，请问商务部处理稀土出口许可证申请的人员数量比4月份是否有增加？现在有多少人在做这件事？谢谢。
谢谢你提问。
Thank you. The relevant rhetorics of the U.S. is a major distortion of the reality. From the August the 27th to 29th, Minister Li Chenggang visited the United States to carry on dialogues with the U.S. counterparts on China's U.S. trade relations and also the implementation of the previous trade talks, and also issuing a dialogue on the 301 section. Recently, China also are carrying the talk on the measures of the 301 section, and we have adopted a very constructive attitude and made several propositions. However, the U.S. adopt a very pessimistic attitude. That's why we have to take countermeasures, including, according to the law, to levy the special port fees of the U.S. businesses. So the U.S. measures are actually an unilateral methods. Well, it's a measure that is hurting the U.S. business and the Chinese business alike, and it will also reduce the competitiveness of U.S. ports. I'd like to point out that the U.S. measures implementation is a major blow to the global supply chain and shipping industry. The countermeasures of China is a defensive measure to safeguard the rules and stability and fair environment of the global shipping market. China hopes that the U.S. could realize its mistakes and also come back to the negotiating table with China. Thank you. With CGTN, it is said that the U.S. trade representatives mentioned that China's measure will be hurting the global semiconductor and national defense industries and so on. So what are your comments on that rhetorics? China have just launched a measure of rare metal trade and export. This is a legitimate measure to safeguard our own rights. The purpose is to prevent the illegal export of rare earths to places that will possibly use it for weapons, for producing weapons of mass destruction. The products only included the raw materials and parts that are already listed in the negative list. Before the launching of the measures, we have issued a briefing on the United States, Europe, and Japan, and as well as other countries affected. We are also carrying on talks on the facilitations of rare metal export with relevant countries. The U.S. interpretation is a major distortion of the reality and the measures taken by China, and it is deepening misunderstanding and fueling panicking moods. This is not a new policy. Since 2022, the U.S. have launched a lot of sanctions on semiconductor products export, and it's abusing relevant rules to threaten a lot of countries to launch on sanctions against China. It means that it is U.S. that is endangering its own economy as well as the supply chain's security around the world. So we need to work together with all countries, including the U.S., to safeguard the security of the supply chain. Thank you. Notice that in terms of rare metal export regulation, China is not prohibiting rare metal from being exported. As long as it is used for a legitimate right, it could be approved. There are European enterprises that are waiting for the import of rare earth from China. So does Commerce plan to build this kind of expedited channel for export approval? Rare metal could be used for civil as well as military rights. Our regulation on the export is a further improvement of our own trade system, safeguard national security, and also our act of fulfilling our global responsibility. The regulation that we issued lately is a measure to further consolidate our export system. It is not against any country or region. As long as the rare earths are used for civil purposes, they will be granted, they will be approved. You've mentioned about the possible expedited or green channel for European enterprises. I want to say that during the process of implementing such as a method, we will continue to optimize the process, streamline the process, and also expedite this approval process so as to make the process more smoother. Thank you. With Financial Times, I have a follow-up question on the Netherlands issue. The Netherlands government that China has already prohibited all products exported from China, next year product from China. And can you confirm that point? I do not currently have any information concerning this issue. If no question, that's all for today's press conference. Thank you all for joining us.